Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restaurantopia. All right, welcome back to Restaurantopia. We've got a fantastic episode here that I think is really important in these times, hopefully coming out of a pandemic, COVID-19 issues that we've all handling as people, but also in the restaurant industry, it's been hit really hard. We want to talk about mental health and how, as people that run businesses in the restaurant industry, evaluating that mental health in today's workplace, and what do we do to be aware of people's mental health. And I think awareness is huge. I think that's going to be a big part of what we talk about. How do we identify it? How do we help people? How do we just know that it's there? Because it is. Mm-hmm. And Brian has put together some amazing information here, and there's going to be a ton of resources in the show notes as always, but this one's going to be, a lot of things because we're going to be quoting some statistics and things. And so this is an exciting episode. I'm really hoping that it helps a lot of people take this on with an open heart, because we're going to go into some really cool stuff. So again, joining as always is Brian Seitz and myself, Dave Ross, and we're going to jump right into it.
I really care about this topic, mental health in the workplace. As a lawyer, I think you can take a person who is generally a great person, very happy, very comfortable with their life, and you put them into a lawsuit or a divorce or something like that, and everything about them changes because of the stress, the anxiety, and the depression. So when I see what's happening during this pandemic, it's not one of those one-off life events that we all hope that doesn't happen. But now I think it's systemic in our society that everyone is kind of going through this. I want to talk today about being a little bit more self-aware about your team and about yourself.
And knowing that every single person is going through this.
Correct.
There's not one person that is not exposed to the ramifications of what this has done to us as a society. Mm-hmm. So whether they could be a lot luckier and maybe they're in a business that
you're making hand sanitizer.
Yeah, you could be in the PPE business and be raking in the cash, but you're still, when you go home, you're maybe not hugging your wife the way you used to because you're scared, or you're not there's all kinds. So everybody's affected by this. So don't kid yourself that somebody's got this all locked up. No, everybody's being affected to a certain extent. Some worse than others. Some it's more apparent than others. Yeah. Some people, you're not going to see it on the outside, but they're going through it on the inside. But everybody's affected.
And that's one thing that I think that we need to take a step back, and not just during pandemics, but just all the time. You don't know if that employee or that friend is having an issue with their, I heard 3 stories this week that really touched me. And as far as I was unaware of, one person's child being incarcerated for a felony, another person's child OD'd, and another person I know is going through a divorce. Do you think they're going to do their job the same? Do you think they're going to interact with people the same? Do you think they're going to be as happy as they would be? No, I mean, they're under a ton of stress and anxiety and probably suffering from some level of depression.
Yeah, and these things you speak of, these 3 circumstances, I mean, it's crazy that people have to go through that at any point in their life.
Correct.
Let alone right now when you've got other things going on. So I feel like the awareness, knowing your people, you're going to be, as a business leader or owner, you're going to be really exposed right now if you do not know your people. Because I've just having conversations with people at a level that I've not had before recently in the past few months going through this. I've learned things about people that have made me respect them so much more, or understand their situation so much more, or know what the stresses they're going through at home. And it's really got me to a place of awareness to where I want to know so badly like what my people are going through, because everybody's going through it.
To me, it has brought on a level of empathy that I did not have before. I was always trying to find out what made people tick and to know more about them and build a relationship because I care about people. But to actually have that empathy, it's definitely much higher now during this pandemic.
Yeah. No, and that's great. And we're just hoping that we, through talking about this, that you can kind of get your radar up and hopefully, have the same experiences we have.
I think you got to take care of yourself first. I think we've joked about this in past episodes. It's like on the airplane, put the oxygen on yourself and then the small child will be beside you. There are things that you can do to help reduce your stress, reduce your anxiety. You do have to identify it though. Like make note of how you're feeling. Is this depression? I know when I've had life issues or work issues in the past, you get into a funk and you don't even know it. You're just sitting at your desk, you're staring at your computer, and it's just like, you have no energy, you have no desire to do anything. The things that brought you joy, maybe you're not doing that. You really have to snap out of it. And again, I'm not saying that that's as easy as that. I'm trying to make light of it. Maybe you need to talk to somebody. I know that's helped me in my life. Those sorts of things that you can do to really reduce common stressors will help you take steps in the right direction. And this is not something where, you're going to take this one pill or you're going to do this one thing and it's all of a sudden everything is going to be euphoric. It's not. But I think you need to exercise self-care, meditation, talking to friends and family. Those sorts of things really, really help. Exercise. Start a routine. You only need the first day to start a routine. Then you go the second day, then the third day, and really start to feel good about yourself. We have a guy at the office who started working out, and he had the biggest smile on his face yesterday. You know exactly what I'm talking about. He is excited about the workout and about doing it. Now, the first couple days, I'm sure he felt like he got hit by a truck. Mm-hmm. I mean, when you go from 0 to exercising for an hour and a half, that's a pretty big move.
Sure. I always say, like, when you got to get back on the treadmill after a year and the couch has been your friend for a year and you got to get on the treadmill, like, it's not, that first week is it's rough. Yeah. And so I say that not just for exercise, but for everything.
No.
It could be, like you said, meditation. Mm-hmm. I love meditation. I know a lot of people think, and I thought the same thing, like, that's hippie BS.
Yeah,
what I mean? Like, meditation. Like, sitting there cross-legged home. Yeah. But it's really, like, I found through doing it myself, I've really found enjoyment in it, and I try to practice every morning. I'm not perfect, but I try to practice every morning, and there's mornings I miss, and there's mornings that it doesn't happen, but I know the days that I do, my day's better.
Yeah, and it can be something as simple as you feel stress coming on, taking a deep breath, count to 10, just be self-reflective, identify the stress and understand it. I think an amazing thing to do in my life, and I've really made a push in the last 3 weeks of doing this, is being more organized. If you've ever seen my office, it looks like the combination of one of those like paper recycling centers and a dumpster. And there's a lot of files. There's a lot of stuff going on there. It's getting more organized. Do you agree?
I would agree. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And I love your enthusiasm of showing it off. Because I think the first day of your organization, like I noticed it. I was sitting there, we're in a conversation, and you kind of swooped your hand over your desk like, you see this?
Only 150 files. Amazing, right?
I'm down. Yeah. I had a buddy that used to, whenever somebody like bigger would lose weight, he'd be like, yeah, it's like throwing a deck chair off the Titanic. But I think another thing to reference back to episode 10 when Julie Vaccarelli was on with us.
Oh, good episode.
And we talked about some employee, different things as far as handling employees, but then also at the end of the episode, if you want to, check it out, we talked about some mental health things. And Anthony brought up a great point in an episode that he actually has a practice of logging his stressors. So when he feels like he gets overwhelmed and stressed, he actually logs what got him stressed out. Mm-hmm. And then he collects that for a little bit, and then he goes over it and says, okay, how do I get rid of this stressor?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I thought that was great because, you have to be aware of it, first of all. So that process allows you to start getting aware. Mm-hmm. That process also has you identify, like, how do I relieve that? Whatever happened there, can I do something different? Can I get out of a situation? Can I not talk to this person? We had some people in the beginning of the pandemic that were kind of overwhelming in regards to their stress towards everything that was going on and the numbers and the counts and things like that. And I tried to really not communicate with that person because it was taking my brain off track. You know what I mean? Like where I wanted to be and what I wanted to get accomplished. Every time I got done talking to him, I was like, oh my God, the world's coming to an end. And I felt like I couldn't get anything done.
And in episode 10, one of the notes that we put in there was slow down on your media consumption.
Yes.
The 24-hour news cycle is there to sell. And again, it just so happens that this week's product is the pandemic, and they're trying to lock you in with the eyeballs and trying to scare you. I'm not trying to make light of the seriousness of the pandemic or anything like that, but you do have to exercise some reasonable caution. But I don't think we all need to walk around in hazmat suits.
Yeah, right. And the 24-hour news cycle, you said it right there. It's like, if you look at the episode right before this on spamming on LinkedIn, like that's what the 24-hour news cycle is. I mean, they're just spamming you to get your attention, to click, to read, to listen, to get the advertising, to watch the news and do all that stuff to drive revenue for those media companies. So don't fall for it.
So what should management be doing now? Like as a manager, I think this is so important because your employees are your friends, your family, but they're contributing their life to you. They're contributing a ton of their day to you. You need to be aware of that and how you're treating them. They're not a number. They're part of your team. They're the most important part of your organization that can cause you to make money or lose money. But besides that, they're human beings. Have some humanity by just implementing some simple steps. Be approachable. Come with love and a caring aspect. If someone makes a mistake, and we've all made mistakes, don't get mad. Don't read them the riot act. Encourage employees when you see them struggling on a task to come to you. Is there a system that we could put in place to make this task easier? Listen and make the necessary accommodations to make their job less complicated. Is there something that we can do to implement technology or what have you to make their job a little bit easier? And then I think the third thing here is I want to talk about is don't dismiss their mental health stress. This is serious stuff. Mental health is so important, is something that you need to be aware of.
Well, and here's the thing, know that it's out there because the research shows, and again, this is research of people that have actually acknowledged. Mm-hmm. So this doesn't even include the people that haven't acknowledged, okay?
Correct.
But there was a Harvard Business Review that said 42% of people said their mental health has declined since this pandemic. So this is real. This is something that's happening.
Yeah.
That's 42%. Mm-hmm. Okay? That's almost half of the people that have acknowledged in a Harvard Business Review that their mental ability has been declining since the pandemic, okay? And then how it affects people in their work, when you go back and how to manage them, there's stats from the CDC, basically. Depression interferes with a person's ability to complete physical job tasks by 20% and actually affects their cognitive ability by 35%.
That is unbelievable.
So this stress is taking away potentially more than a third of your cognitive ability. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have enough cognitive ability to begin with to be giving up 33% or more.
No, and you have to have the humanity not to read the employee the riot act and say snap out of it or toughen up. That's not what an employee needs right now. An employee needs someone who cares about them and is trying to help them improve their life. I think that you want to make sure that you have a good culture. Culture is so key, and we talk about that, and it sounds a little cliche, but what does that mean in this sense? I think it's making sure that you have an inclusive environment where you understand what people are going through, but also you're communicating with them. You're allowing them to talk about how they feel, where it's not just like, how you doing? How's your weekend? Boom, here's a task. And, right into it. And the employee knows the manager doesn't care versus actually knowing about the people, knowing about their children, knowing about their life, and being able to tell if they are hurting. And because that's what we're talking about here. Are you stressed? Are you anxious? Are you depressed? What can we do to alleviate some of that pain?
Yeah, and don't be Lumberg from Office Space.
Yeah.
Hello, Peter. And then, how are you today? By the way, where's that TPS report?
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, exactly.
I'm going to need you to come in this weekend.
I'm going to need you to work on Sunday. Giving people flexibility, creating an environment that allows people to come to you. So the openness you talked about.
Yeah.
What's really huge now, because a lot of companies are still working from home. Now, we're blessed to have an office space that allows us to still have people come in, and
Correct.
we've got masks mandated, all those things, but we have a lot of people in the office back now.
Mm-hmm.
But in the beginning, when people are home, you got to check in with people. They are potentially scared out of their mind in their home with their kids, homeschooling, with their wife in the other room or husband in the other room. They're in an environment they're not used to. Okay.
A 3-letter news agency running 24/7 in the background.
Exactly.
Constantly bringing up, the scariness of a pandemic.
Yeah. So something that we did early in the beginning for reasons because we had to get information flowing fast because we weren't around each other. Mm-hmm. We had a daily task force call. And you were on these calls, Brian. I mean?
I love
every day.
I missed them when we stopped.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people did, actually. And what's funny is that at first I knew we needed to do it because we needed information to go fast.
Yeah.
Because we weren't around each other. But then why it went on for as long as it did is because I realized people were enjoying the interaction and enjoying the connection and enjoying making, checking in on people. And so we all got on a Zoom call. I think it first started off as a conference call, maybe. The first couple ones, but then we got Zoom figured out just like every other company did. Where was this company before the pandemic? Zoom.
I know.
Now it's like it's a household name. But we did that, and I think I heard that from multiple people that they were actually sad when we slowed them down and ended up ending them because we were all back in the office because they loved the interaction on a daily basis, and I think it helped it helped some people kind of get through and cope.
Think about this. If you're a restaurateur and you're not checking in on, the front of the house, the back of the house, everybody, if you're a multi-unit operator and you got 2 restaurants, check in on that GM at that other restaurant regularly. I mean, text them. Make sure that connection is constantly there, because nothing is running on autopilot right now. I hate to break it to you. There's amazing amount of stress on every single person in your organization.
Yeah, no question.
There's a few things that you can do here to build this culture of checking in with your employees in your organization. It's one, the simple check-in. Go further than how's your weekend, how's your day going, how are you doing? But check in and try to understand what the people are going through. Are you doing okay? I think that is a level above of how's your weekend. Are you doing okay? Because the person has to answer yes or no. And that may be an opportunity for them to share with you.
And sometimes the hesitated yes.
Yeah.
It's a no.
It's a no. Yeah, it's an answer.
Yeah. No, and I think we're coming up on a time of year where we're going to have like end of year business reviews, and the holidays are coming, and different things are happening. So when you're meeting with people that maybe you don't meet with on a regular basis and you have their ear, like I think it's...
The holidays are going to be here soon. Imagine how much stress is during a regular holiday, let alone a pandemic one. Yeah. Like, I don't know about your Thanksgiving, but my Thanksgiving involves 50 people over at my house. I'm out there deep frying turkeys and having fun. I don't know. Do we have to do it on Zoom? Is it a virtual Thanksgiving? Like, what does that look like?
It's probably, it's going to be greatly reduced.
Yeah.
I'm sure that, you're not going to have 50 people. You're going to have maybe the 10 or 12, closest ones, or people that you've quarantined with, or whatever your situation is, however you're handling this. But but when you're talking to employees in this time of year that maybe you don't have interaction all the time, like it's okay because I think sometimes we don't want to ask questions because we've never asked them before, and we feel awkward. Like, I don't know about your family, Brian. So if I ask about your family, like, does it sound genuine? So I think it's okay to be like, so Brian, how long have you been married?
Yeah.
How's it? How'd you meet your wife? You got 2 kids, right? Yeah. And some people feel awkward, because, they don't want to not know. No. But I'm asking, and then that person's going to open up and they're going to start going into more things. And I've had these conversations recently with people that I don't normally meet with, but you got to have that time. And listen, if it's a half an hour meeting and you spend 25 minutes just getting to know them better.
I think that's important. Why people don't do that, I believe, and as a lawyer, everyone is so afraid of getting a lawsuit in the employment space. And I think this is something that our legislature and in all industries need to really reevaluate. Now, obviously, we don't want sexual harassment. We don't want anyone discriminated against. But it has caused a chilling effect. And it really has reduced the amount of conversations people are having. And I think that's sad. And I think the law can be changed. And again, I think that there are great laws out there, but I think that the chilling effect that has occurred is sad. And I'm going to put some, because I'm interested in knowing more about this, as far as what are some things that we can put in the show notes to help operators out, learn a little bit more about this area of the law. I'll have one of my associates do some research and really point people in the right direction. Maybe it'll be a whole new topic.
But I'm forgive me if I'm ignorant of what you're bringing up here, but is asking people personal questions not something you can do?
No, you can do that.
It just potentially gets you into a space where
say someone says that they have a mental illness issue and you discharge them, and then they sue you and say you discharged them because of my mental illness issue. Okay. That could be a problem.
Gotcha. No, but I see what you're saying now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because I guess the world we live in and in our company is a way more family environment that we probably don't go in those places immediately because, the care for our employees and the employees know we care for them. And so when we're going through these things.
I think if you make it a real effort with your entire management team to check in with your employees, put together a strategy to focus on people's mental health and how they're doing, I think it'll have a profound effect. It'll increase employee engagement. It'll increase employee retention. It'll help your organization. But everybody, it's the right thing to do. It's the humane thing to do. Reach out to your people. Ask them how they're doing.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think you're going to see all these, all the notes in the show notes as far as the bullet points of what we talked about today. But, but it's very important. So we appreciate you listening in today. And this this is a fantastic topic, and it's an important topic that probably isn't discussed enough. So I'm glad we did this.
Yeah.
And thanks for pushing us to this episode, Brian. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm happy to do it. I really hope that if it helps one person, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, thanks so much. So check us out on restaurantopia.com. Check out these show notes and any other episodes that suit your fancy, and we'll see you next time.
This is a high-quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restaurantopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restaurantopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you, and have a great day. If you or someone you know suffers from symptoms of mental illness such as depression, anxiety, chronic stress, or suicidal thoughts, please contact with the Suicide Prevention Hotline, Crisis Hotline, or the National Helpline, or your local emergency number for help. These connections will be in the show notes, so check those out on restaurantopia.com, and thank you for listening.